Luke chapter 1. Since many have attempted to explain the events that were completely familiar with us, precisely like they were handed over to us by the original eyewitnesses, it seems appropriate for me, since I have considered them all carefully, to write everything down step by step for you, the most eminent Theophilus, so that you can be absolutely certain of the truthfulness of the statements that have been explained to you. In the time of Herod, the king of Judah, there was a priest named Zacharias, of the priestly order of the house of Abijah. His wife was descended from the daughters of Aaron, and her name was Elizabeth. They were both righteous in the sight of Jehovah, continuing on life's journey in all of his commandments and Eloah's righteous requirements perfectly. But they had never had any children because Elizabeth was sterile, and they were both advancing in years. But while he was serving as priest, during his scheduled order of ministry, in Jehovah's presence, according to the custom of priesthood, the lot fell on him to burn the incense. So he entered the inner portion of the temple of Jehovah. The entire congregation of people were praying outside during the time when the incense was being burned. Then one of Jehovah's messengers appeared to Zechariah, standing on the right side of the altar of incense. When Zacharias saw him, he was overcome with anxiety and terror. Jehovah's messenger told him, "Don't be afraid, Zechariah, because your prayers have been heard, and your wife Elizabeth will give you a son, and you'll name him John. You'll have joy and happiness, and many others will celebrate at his birth. He will be great in Jehovah's presence. He'll never drink wine or other fermented drinks. He'll be filled with the Kaddish spirit even before his birth. He'll bring back many of the descendants of Israel to Jehovah, their Eloah. He will precede him in the spirit and power of Elijah the prophet, and he'll turn the sentiments of the fathers to the children, and turn the disobedient to the knowledge of righteousness, and prepare a perfect people for Jehovah." Zechariah asked Jehovah's spirit messenger, "How can I be sure of this, since I am old and my wife is advancing in years?" The messenger told him, "I am Gabriel. I stand in the presence of Jehovah, and I was sent to talk with you and to tell you the good news. But since you didn't believe my message, you will be speechless. You won't speak until the day when these things happen, and everything will take place when the time is right." Meanwhile, the people were standing around waiting for Zechariah, wondering why he was staying in the most Kaddish part of the temple so long. When he came out, he couldn't talk to them, and they realized that he had seen a vision in the temple. He made many hand gestures to them, but remained unable to talk. When the days of his service were finished, he went home. Soon after this time, his wife Elizabeth became pregnant and remained in seclusion for 5 months. She said, "Jehovah did these things for me during the time when he looked on my desolation and took away my public disgrace." In the 6th month, Jehovah sent a messenger to a town in Galilee called Nazareth, to a virgin engaged to a man named Joseph, a descendant of David. The virgin's name was Mary. Jehovah's messenger came to her and said, "Peace, favored one, Jehovah is with you. You are a very blessed woman." When she saw him, she was troubled by what he said, and wondered what this visit meant. The messenger told her, "Don't be afraid, Mary, because you have found favor with Jehovah. You will conceive and give birth to a son, and you will name him Yeshua. He will be great and be called the Son of the Highest, and Jehovah Eloah will give him the throne of his ancestor David. He will rule over the descendants of Jacob forever in his everlasting kingdom. Mary asked the messenger, "How is this possible, since I am a virgin?" The messenger replied, "The Kaddish spirit will come, and the power of the highest will overshadow you. So the Kaddish one to be born will be called the Son of Jehovah. Your relative Elizabeth is also pregnant with a son in her old age. A woman who was said to be childless is in her 6th month. Because nothing is impossible for Jehovah, Mary said, I am Jehovah's servant girl. May it be just as you said." Then the spirit messenger left her. Mary quickly got ready to go to the mountain, to the town in Judea. She went into Zachariah's house and greeted Elizabeth. When Elizabeth heard Mary's greeting, the baby within her jumped for joy, and she was filled with the Kaddish spirit. She called to Mary in a loud voice, "You are a very blessed woman, and the infant in your womb is blessed. But why has the mother of the Master come to visit me? The moment I heard your greeting, the baby in my womb leaped for joy. You are blessed because you believed, and the things Jehovah told you will be fulfilled." Mary said, "My consciousness praises Jehovah, and my spirit rejoices in Jehovah, my life-giver. He has noticed the humility of a servant girl. From now on, every generation will call me blessed, because the Holy One has done great things for me. His name is Kaddish. He shows mercy to those who fear him from generation to generation. He has been victorious with supreme strength. He has scattered those who are inwardly arrogant. He has overturned monarchs from their thrones and uplifted the humble. He has satisfied the hungry with good things and sent the rich away empty-handed. He has helped his servant Israel, remembering his mercy, as he spoke to our ancestors, to Abraham and his descendants forever." Mary stayed with Elizabeth about 3 months and then returned home. When the time came for Elizabeth to have her baby, she gave birth to a son. Her neighbors and relatives heard that Jehovah had shown his great compassion to her, and they shared her joy. On the 8th day, they came to circumcise the child. They called him by the name of his father, Zachariah. But his mother said, "No, he will be called John." They told her, "None of your relatives go by that name." They signed to his father to see what he wanted to name him. He asked for a writing tablet and wrote, "His name is John," to everyone's surprise. Suddenly his mouth was open and his speech was unimpeded, and he began to speak and to praise Jehovah. The neighbors were all amazed. All throughout the mountain country of Judea, all these things were discussed. Everyone who heard about it contemplated what had happened and asked, "What kind of boy would this be?" The hand of Jehovah was certainly with him. His father Zachariah was filled with the Kaddish spirit and prophesied, "Blessed is Jehovah, the Eloah of Israel. He has visited his people and paid their ransom. He has raised up for us a horn of deliverance from the descendants of his servant David, as he foretold by the voices of his Kaddish prophets in times past, that he would rescue us from our enemies and from the grasp of everyone who hates us. He was merciful with our ancestors and remembers his Kaddish covenant and the oath that he swore to our ancestor Abraham to grant us deliverance from the grasp of our enemies, so we can serve him without fear, in justice and righteousness all our days. You, my child, will be called the prophet of the highest, because you will go ahead of the Master and prepare his way, so that he can give his people the knowledge of eternal life and pardon their sins as if they had never been committed, through Jehovah's compassionate mercy, so that a ray from heaven above will visit us to enlighten those who sit in darkness, in the shadow of death, to guide our feet toward the road of peace. The boy grew and became strong in spirit. He was in the wilderness till the day of his public appearance in Israel.